covering the High Plains with news, weather, and information. From TV23 Studios in Sublette, this is High Plains Today.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this special edition of High Plains Today. I am joined by State Representative John Dahl from the 123rd District. He represents mainly Garden City, but that's beside the point.
I don't even go outside of I'm an urban legislator.
You're an urban, so you're kind of like them guys in Northeast.
Yeah, me and the Olathe people, we're together.
Yeah, somehow I'm not buying that one bit. Okay, what we're going to talk about today, though, is all the things that have been happening in Topeka. You guys are kind of on recess now. End of the month, you're going to go back and try and finalize things up. Do you think you're going to get done on time?
I think it'll be a short session because, we're not in a budget year like we were last year. Secondly is that everybody needs to get out to campaign. The only thing that'll keep us there for a long time are the courts, and they probably should.
All right, let's talk about the courts. Big thing coming down is school funding. Now, that's the biggest thing. Right now, you guys have passed an $83 million, it's not an injection of new money, because there is no money, I'm guessing, but a redistribution to, and it excludes some districts, but it kind of redistributes all the money. So you think the courts are going to look at that and go, good job?
No, I think it's unconstitutional. And I think what's going to happen, I'm hoping, is that the court said, this is okay for now. You got a year to get it right, because this is closer than we have been the 4 years I've been there. But it's not constitutional, Chris. The courts gave us specific orders, and it's from, it's kind of funny. This all came back a long time ago when we asked the courts to say, what is equitable funding? And the court said, this is what equitable funding is. And we told them we were just kidding. We didn't.
Yeah, nobody liked their answer, did they?
Nobody liked their answers. So we just kind of ignored it. And so it's exactly what you're saying. It's just shifting of money. We didn't inject money. They said we had to inject money. So I can't see how the courts are going to say it's okay. Nothing to me would be more devastating, because children, that's what we're for. We're for the children and for the seniors. People like us need to take care of ourselves. But to close the doors on June 1 and tell them no one can go in there, people don't understand how important schools are, even through the summertime. You have, first of all, you have custodians, you have all these people who are working that's going to not have a job. Then you have these students that come in, you have all these different clubs, chess clubs, weightlifting, all these different things that are going on that you're going to go by the school, and there shouldn't be anyone there if it's, if it is how I see it being. And that's so wrong.
So do you think, now, and your hope is that the court's going to say, okay, you're trying. But the biggest thing is, we knew this last year going in, that, okay, the school funding, this block grant is going to be a mess. It sunsets in 2017. So you've got to get to work on a new formula. But yet, nothing happens until you're about to the end of the session this year. After the court came in and said, all right, you've got till July 1 to get this figured out, or June 30th, and then that's the time. But still, you guys, everybody up there, leadership looks like, nah, this isn't a big deal.
It's kind of like a kid with his homework. It's you give a kid an assignment and you tell him it's due in a month. And about the night before, he goes, oh, yeah, I got a 7-page paper due tomorrow. Today's world is not so bad because you have internet. Back in our day when we had to go to the library, it wasn't so good. It's
library, just go. I don't know. I'm not sure I ever saw the inside of the library.
I heard about them. But this, the block grant itself was unconstitutional. And I voted against it and spoke out against it. And and so we're band-aiding something that was unconstitutional. I was a former government teacher, taught government for 20 years. And you have 3 units of government. You have executive, legislative, and judicial branch. And so what we're doing as legislators, we're trying to fire the judicial branch. We're trying to take their power away, which is so wrong. It's so un-American. That's why we have 3 separate units.
Well, that's because you guys didn't like the answer they gave you.
Exactly. It's exactly like if I didn't like what Mom and Dad said, I could go get a new set of parents. They probably would have liked it, but it's just not going to happen. This system of government, these 3 branches of government, have always been there and have served us very well, and all of a sudden we're trying to take it away. We're pointing our fingers. It's always someone else's fault. Now it's the judicial branch's fault, when in reality, it's our fault.
Okay. All right, hold on to that, because we're going to use that finger pointing deal. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about how the governor has kind of spun a lot of this stuff and get your take on that.
Okay.
Stick around. More with John right after this.
You're watching High Plains Today on TV23 with host Chris Jewell. TV23's internet service and 4G live streaming provided by United Wireless. Coverage you deserve. Service you expect. United Wireless.
And welcome back, John Dahl. He is the State of Kansas Representative, District 123. We were talking about school finance and what you thought was unconstitutional and how everything gets spun in Topeka. This kind of leads us right into the budget for the state of Kansas and the shortfalls. I mean, we just had the new numbers came out for the month of March, and imagine that. They were less than projected again, and the governor puts his spin on it that it's all oil and ag prices that are causing everything in Kansas to be down again. But somewhere, something's got to give because something's not working somewhere. I mean, how do you look at that in Topeka and go, no, wait a minute. We've got a problem somewhere here, and this is some of the things that we got to do to fix this. I mean, how do you address that?
First, the governor's correct. I mean, the economy in Kansas has taken a hit. There's no question about it. And it came at a bad time because at the same time that, you know, the oil and gas and crops, you've never seen cattle and grains down at the same time like this in my lifetime that I can recall. You know, and they were both down. That being said, you know, you make adjustments, and I think that's where we're missing the boat. This tax cut coming at the same time. I think the people of Kansans are forgiving people, and the governor ran on this tax cut, so we can't be critical of the governor. He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do, and we elected him. That being said, I would hope the governor would say, okay, because of these outside influences, maybe we need to go back to 2012, pay state income tax. I recall going into the governor's office. We say it's going to the principal's office. You get a phone call that says, well, you need to come down to the governor's office. So there's 5 or 6 of us go in there. And it's like being at the principal's office. You sit outside first before you're called in. So you go in there, and I said, you know, Governor, I was a city commissioner for some time and a mayor some time, and I heard people complain about federal income tax. I heard them talk about, you know, sales tax, the Lucifer of tax, the worst tax that's out there, that everything we can do to keep it down is property tax. But I can't tell you one person ever that complained to me about state income tax. And he said, well, John, I have. And I said, well, we run with different people. You know, I run around with people like you, Chris, and he runs with the Koch brothers.
Okay, so you look at that, though, and, I mean, last year, to fill the budget hole, it was like both houses of the Senate and the House both had to go through the couch and look for change to fill the holes. Now, how are you guys going to fill that hole this year? Because, you know, once you get back up there, the end of April, there's going to be a hole to fill.
Well, when I walked into the state, I made sure the back button of my pocket was there so they couldn't get in my wallet. There wasn't much money, but you're exactly right. We were looking for it anywhere. But when we passed this year, gave the governor $100 million of funds that he can put anywhere he wants to. Hopefully that's going to go to plug the hole. If it goes more than $100 million, we have to make cuts because we have to have a balanced budget. That's the Constitution. We have to have. Now, we're supposed to have a 7.5% 5% surplus, but that hasn't happened.
Yeah,
for
that
years.
hasn't happened for the last several years.
You know, not even just under Sam's deal, but under Graves, everybody.
Right.
But you know, these cuts, we've cut about everything we could cut. You know, so we're into the red meat, have been for some time, and it scares me. I'm hoping 100 million. A big date that's coming up, Chris, is April 20th. And April 20th, we take the revenue and the estimates, and that's what next year's budget, the next 2 years' budget is going to be based on, is these April 20th numbers. And those are critical as far as the path that we're going to go forward. You know, and it's not good, but it's reality that we're talking about getting through this year, you know, and as political leaders, as leaders, you know, we're supposed to be guiding us on a path of the future, and we're so concerned with the present right now, that tells you that we're messed up, and that's why we need good people running for the
Well, you
legislature.
guys are like living day to day up there.
Exactly.
I mean, you've taken as much money as you can from the Bank of KDOT. You know, the governor's taken $17 million from the regents and the universities. I mean, he's been cutting money here and there. I mean, it's like a day-to-day thing up there.
Children's Initiative Fund, the Capers, you know, so we've gotten the children, we've gotten the people who have retired. We have taken it from everywhere we could take it from. At some point in time, we have to be every nickel we need to watch. But there's a cost to doing business, and we don't accept that. And so the revenue, it was pretty simple. I've seen numbers that if we had kept the 2012 income tax in place, it'd be gravy right now. We would be way ahead. We would be talking about cuts. Cutting income tax is a good thing. Cutting any tax is a good thing if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, you shouldn't be cutting it. And right now, we're cutting when we can't afford it.
But yet last year, though, to make up for that, you know, some people say that the governor initiated the highest tax increase ever in the state of Kansas.
Yes.
With the sales tax.
And what's amazing to me, a lot of people signed the tax pledge, which I won't sign any pledge, and they had to go ahead and vote for that. How are they going to come back and tell their people, I signed for this, but I was just kidding? You know, I see it with Trump and the elections there, Trump and Cruz, you know, saying, you know, a few months ago they signed a pledge that they're going to back, and all of a sudden, no, we're not. And then I saw the other day where Trump was in Wisconsin with students making them sign a pledge that they wouldn't do drugs. I hope they do better on that pledge than Trump did with this other one.
I hear you.
Pledges, you know, your hand, you know, when you sign something, it ought to mean something. Just like when you say I do, I did. You know, you need to, there's got to be a constant there, and your word has got to be solid, and you have to do what's right for the people. And sometimes it's not a popular decision, but it's the right decision. And at the end of the day, the people will understand, you know, he made a tough decision, but it was the right decision.
Okay, hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back from that, we're going to talk a little bit about where we see the state of Kansas headed, okay, and how we can maybe fix this mess without migration and everybody leaving and that kind of stuff. All right? Stick around. I'll be back with more with John right after this. Welcome back. John Dahl. Kansas House of Representatives, District 123, right there. Now, we were talking about the state budget, the holes to fill. Basically, okay, you know, the state's reserves, we're at zero. Even though the Constitution says we got to have 7% of the budget, et cetera, we're at zero. We're not kidding anybody, right?
We're hoping to be at zero.
Okay, that's a good thing. You're hoping to be at zero. But, you know, and the governor, you know, with the cuts back in 2012, this was going to be a shot of adrenaline for the state of Kansas. You know, the sun's always shining, et cetera, et cetera. And you're right. Everybody, you know, he was reelected on those statements. But over the last 2 years, you know, Kansas has had out-migration. I mean, people leaving the state. The number of jobs or employment has gone down. I mean, all the new employment that we had was already coming to the state before the tax cuts. So, I mean, where do you see the state of Kansas going? I mean, these tax cuts, I mean, can we how are we going to go forward if they stay in place?
Well, first of all, to be fair, Nebraska and Oklahoma's also down in the last 5, I think.
Yes.
And that just shows that the economy is hurting. That's reality. The grains are down, oil's down, gas is down. But what's disheartening.
But Oklahoma and Nebraska and Missouri, their employment rates are going up. They're up, around the national average of 4%. Kansas, we're at like 0.01 or something.
Right. Well, and to finish, the thought was that's when you make adjustments, and that's what we haven't done. There again, I coached for 20 years, and you're in a game, and if you want to do this, I'm a pressing team. I want to press. But the other team's scoring layups every time that you press. At some point in time, the light comes on, and you say, maybe I ought to take this press off. You make adjustments, and politics by no means is a game, but in a sense it is. And we haven't made those adjustments. We have not made the in-game adjustments. When this was going down, the in-game adjustments we're going to put this back up here, this tax rate, and until things go well. And then we can start lowering it again. We have not made those kind of adjustments. And I was the other day, I saw a student, former student of mine, and she was going into teaching. And I wrote her a couple of letter of references, so I knew she was going into teaching. I see her working at a place there in Garden City, and I said, how's your school going? How's your teaching? She goes, Mr. Dahl, I left because there's no way I'm going to go into teaching right now. As unstable that is, if I'm going to go and put all this time and money and effort into getting an education degree, I want to make sure that this is what I want to do. At this point in time in my life, this is not what I want to do. And I walked out of there so sad. My heart was, because she would have been an outstanding teacher. She was she had teacher written all over her. And that's sad.
So is it, the legislature seems to be following, most of them are following what leadership, which seems to say whatever the governor would like them to say. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and I'm sometimes I'm wondering if it's higher than the governor. I'm wondering if he's getting input from other people to make him stay at that level. I don't know if the buck stops with the governor sometimes.
Really?
I'm wondering if, what's amazing to me is you can read, there's a think tank out there that's extremely powerful. It's called ALAC. It's American Legislative Executive Council. And whatever's on their agenda, you can look at it, you can pull it up on the web and look at it. Here's the things that they want. And it appears before us. And the governor's behind it, and a lot of the representatives are behind it. And I'm thinking,
well, in leadership, I've seen their names going to the conventions also.
Well, our speaker's on the board. I think our president of the Senate is also. And it's that may be well for Utah or Wisconsin, but Kansas got to be concerned with what Kansans are doing. So, it's not bad to get ideas from ALAC or anybody else, but you got to see how that applies to Kansas. And that's what we're doing a poor job of doing at the legislature at this time, in my opinion.
So is the answer now, and I know you are running for the Senate seat of the 39th district, and you have decided to take on the incumbent, Senator Larry Powell, and we have contacts out. We are trying to get a hold of Senator Powell so he can come on and talk about some of this stuff also, but so far he hasn't replied.
Maybe he will now.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Senator Powell, if you're watching this, we would really like you to come on the show. But, are those the types of things that we need to be? Because, you've said that Senator Powell kind of votes along what leadership would like to do. And you're more of, is this good for Kansas? I don't care what leadership says. Is this good for Kansas? Is this good for the people in the 39th or the 123rd district?
Well, Larry, I'm not going to try to put words into Larry's mouth, but my thoughts are we are people of the people, by the people, for the people. And I believe that strongly. I think a lot of us in Topeka, hopefully I'm not included in that, is of the business, for the business, by the business. And we got that wrong. And somehow the people have become replaced by the business. And we use that as an escape you know, there's right now that we have 330,000 businesses not paying any income tax. I was told by a very good source by 18 that will be over 400,000 businesses paying zero. These people are using, most of them that you talk to, we expect to pay some. We don't want to pay more, but we expect to pay our fair share. We're using the highways. We want, when we go over that bridge, we don't want it to collapse like it did in India or wherever it was and killed all those people. We want to know that we're safe when we walk outside the doors. And I can't think people in Kansas feel that way right now. And I think it's because we've gotten away from who we are. And who we are is we're good, wholesome people. We're good, just people. And we're trying to be like a New York or New Jersey, California type of government, which that's not us. That's not who the Kansans are.
We're middle America, aren't we?
We're middle America, and we're just good old people. And that's what we're trying to get away from, in my opinion, sometimes up there. And we forget about Joe Blow down at the street.
Down the road, there you go.
And that's I think once we start doing that, we get our moral gauge back to where it needs to be. And we let, you know, parenting, we let schools, we let all these take care of themselves. And we quit trying to big boy everybody. That's what we've been doing at state. We've been big boy in city and local government. There was one time, there was 4 days in a row that we're working on legislation that was going to limit local government or school, you know, some board at a local level. That's wrong. That's wrong. Let local people do their own thing.
Because the local people know what goes on locally.
That's exactly right, Chris. And that really upsets me. And when I try to big boy them, that's what I call it, big boy them. We're going to big boy them again today, aren't we? That's what I tell the people sitting around me. You know, a lot of them are pretty far right. They just look at me and laugh. They understand me after 4 years. But it really hurts because, you know, I'm a localist, and I think local people can do local issues a lot better than we can at Topeka.
I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
It was good. It was good. Tell you what, and I'll bet I want to have you back. Maybe we'll get Senator Powell back here and we can get you two together.
Well, that would be fun.
Yeah,
you know
there
what?
you go, Senator Powell.
Larry Powell is a great guy. Yeah. You sit down, and I'll tell you, if you do, we'll be laughing and carrying on on a personal level.
Super guy, nothing wrong with him.
Not a thing wrong with him. I just don't like his politics sometimes, and he doesn't like mine, so it might be interesting.
John, thanks for coming on today. And join us next time right here on High Plains Today.
Keep up to date with the latest information from TV23 on our Facebook page, KDGL TV.